Hello and welcome. Once again, this is the Paranormal NightStalker. I am Joel Walling. If I can spit this out straight, it's been a long fucking week. Holy smokes. It has been great busy, and of course the continued support from the Legion of the NightStalkers is incredible. We have been just on fire this whole week. We have been doing interviews like crazy. Not going to do a long intro. Of course, I did bother to cut out Michael Smith, which is there with me, as always, sitting in the background, letting me ramble on insanely for however long I decide to ramble on in. Isn't that right?
Yep. Pretty good.
Yeah, that's the way this all works. I ramble crazily for a while, and he either tells me to shut up or he just stays in the background and does his doofing smurfing where he just sits there and builds stuff and hopes and doesn't explode, and we go from there. But this, like I said, this week, for everyone out there that is a NightStalker fan, you've got a big month coming up. Tonight's episode, we're going to be talking to a group out of South Carolina, the South Carolina Paranormal Research and Investigation Team. I can remember Paul. Okay, so apparently I can't remember. I know it's Paul. I know it's Paul because I actually talk to Paul frequently. But they also do a podcast on the network that is just getting out its second episode. It's picking up a lot of steam, a lot of interest because it's dealing with South Carolina. There I go. South Carolina folklore and legend, talking about like the haunted old jail in Charleston and things like that. It's really just a fascinating podcast. Of course, I just want to get out a few plugs here real quick. Like I said, this was actually a kind of marathon interview. Because once we got going with it, we didn't stop. It's actually almost as long as the one we did yesterday with DNA Paranormal.
Yeah, that was 2 hours plus.
Yeah, that was over 2 hours, and oh my God. That's all I can say about it. It was great. But we were just having a kick out of everything. It was just hilarious to actually be part of it. I hope you guys like it. That will be coming out in 2 weeks? Because next week we have Matt from Paranormal Investigations Equipment, or as we refer to him, the Pie Guy. And he's going to be talking a little bit about other stuff, which actually I forgot. He actually messaged me on Skype yesterday, and I totally forgot to answer him. I've had like 2 or 3 early-ish interviews where we've been doing stuff at like 10 o'clock in the morning and things like that. One of them was with June Lundgren, which I think that episode will be coming out this coming Wednesday, where she talks to someone from Ghost Adventures. Actually, an executive producer and historical researcher, if I'm not mistaken, and his name escapes me at the moment. But that episode's going to be out this coming Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Or no, 8 o'clock. Sorry, we're moving times on if you're a fan of the Dark Side of the Paranormal. Dark Side of the Paranormal is moving times. So it used to come out, I believe it was Wednesday at 7. It is now moving to Wednesdays at 8 because June is going to be going live. So if you listen to Dark Side of the Paranormal, if you're one of the people that download it and you want to hear it live, if you have questions, we're going to have a live chat room going the entire time where you can get in there and interact and talk to June, ask her questions. Ask Wendy questions. Ask the guest questions. She's got some big guests coming up. I don't even know all of them. She kind of keeps them close to her chest, so I don't know them usually until a day or two before we record, which is fine. Let her, because she's been getting, like I said, she's been getting the people like off of TV, stuff like that. We used to do that. We used to get the people from TV. We used to get the directors. We used to get the producers. We used to get the people to do the documentaries and stuff. And really, we moved away from that. We're trying to get back in touch with the groups you may not have heard of, but the way I'm looking at it is those groups are the people on the front lines of investigation. I'm not trying to knock anyone that does anything on TV or does movies or any of that. I mean, I did have Christopher Booth on here a while back and totally fanboyed out to him and his wife. But I'm saying these are the people that are actually furthering research. They're not doing this to show the same historic places that have been visited and revisited and visited again for the past decade. They're actually attempting to further the field. So we're going to them. We're talking to them. We're getting their opinion on stuff. We're getting stuff like that. So that's who we're kind of going. You know, we've been in this a long time. basically we've been in this probably longer than anyone but the big guys, the Art Bells and the Clyde Lewises and those kind of people. We're going back to where, to quote Jim Ross, we're dancing with the girl that brung us. We're going back to the small teams, the teams you might not have heard of, the teams, like I said, that are bringing in new methods and new styles, and they're mixing stuff together, and they're using mediums, and they're using, the scientific equipment, and they've got a mix of both, and they're trying everything to get worked out. Those are the ones we're going with. June's getting the big entertainment people. She's getting the Hollywood folks and the Vegas folks and the other folks. So, if you're a fan of that and you actually want to ask these people questions, I'm going to be on there. And I will break right in and say, hey, so-and-so has a question and ask your question live on air. You could do that by going there and following her on Spreaker. Just look up Dark Side of the Paranormal. And like I said, every Wednesday night, 8 p.m., that's going to be live. The NightStalker is playing live sometimes. We do live occasionally now. Just because, well, why not? We've got 3 hours of live air time a day, so why in the hell not use it? I'm trying to think of what else we got going on. Of course, I forgot. I forgot again. I forgot what I remembered. You got anything you want to throw in? Or shall I just continue shamelessly plugging us?
I'm so confused. I don't know anymore after all that.
I had to think I only got through, 2 shows?
Yeah.
I got through ours and June's.
You forgot what you forgot to remember. So I don't know what the hell's going on now. So just go on. I'll just sit here. And if I find a way to get in there that makes sense, I'll jump in. Lord.
Yeah, I know. And like I said, it was just getting through 2 shows. But we do have we have a network now. We have 13 shows. But anyway, we do have, like I said, we have 13 shows on the network right now that are active, that have episodes out. We've got, let's see, of course, there's us, the flagship, the mothership, the bringer of lost souls, whatever you want to call us. We're here. Dark Side of the Paranormal that I've talked about. I've got more. I just can't remember the names of them now. Bigfoot and Company, which is actually one that's great. We actually have a whole series from Dr. John Stamey. He's actually a guy, he organizes a lot of conventions in the U.S. He works with people all across the country. A really interesting fella, and he's got Bigfoot and Company. Actually works across the world because we did actually start up a new one. On Spreaker, it's set up as a standalone station, but it's actually part of the Scary Cast. We have a special, he does special episodes called Paranormal Down Under Paranormal. Sorry. Where it's actually looking into Australia. And it's an Australian, actually I'm not sure exactly what he does, but you can always check it out. It's got an episode up. We've got Scary Cast, of course, with Dr. John and, I believe it's Devin Tate and Maestro. If you're a wrestling fan, the main name may sound familiar to you. He was a guy in WCW. He actually also worked in Smoky Mountain Wrestling under the name of Robbie Eagle, I believe. I'm a wrestling fan, so I kind of know this stuff. But he does a show, and also Pop Culture Stars. It's, just a lot of different things with that. Of course, also coming this week, now I remembered what I was going to say to begin with when I forgot it, which was this is, of course, coming up the week of love. That's right, folks. Valentine's Day is right around the corner. We are less than a week away from that. And we're going to show some paranormal love. Not necessarily here on the NightStalker, but I, myself personally, will be a guest on Psychic Medium Sherry's show, Portals to Enlightenment. And we also have a special episode of Giving Up the Ghost that will air on Valentine's Day. Eternal Love. 2 stories of love that never died. And if you guys are not listening to Giving Up the Ghost, it's one of the shows that I personally wait for every week. And I produce the damn thing. I mean, so I like sit there and refresh the email. Why haven't they sent me the latest one yet? Why haven't they sent it to me yet? Why haven't they sent it to me yet? Waiting for this show to come on. Just so I can listen to it. I don't even bother editing or anything. I just sit there and listen to the damn thing. And then I put it up and I tag it and all this because it's really that fascinating. Jazz and Sherry are incredible. As they call themselves, they're audio curators. And they are incredible at this. And it's literally the one I wait for every week. This one, you're going to love it. It's like I said, it's 2 ghost stories of lost love that didn't die, and I'm thinking it's going to be huge. Now, back to Portals of Enlightenment, or Portals to Enlightenment, sorry. I actually get on there and I tell a personal story of mine about, I guess you would say, love continuing after death, as well as I give the story behind how I met my wife, which anyone who has been listening to this knows I'm actually a really private person, and just kind of said, to hell with it, threw caution to the wind and went for it and told that story, which, is a guy that starts out in Wilmington, North Carolina and ends up married in Kitimat, British Columbia. There's a hell of a story in there somewhere. So if you ever had any questions or any wonder about that, you can always check that episode out. That's going to be coming out this week as well. I'm trying to think if we got anything else ahead. Oh, yeah, I forgot. And if you're not tired of hearing my voice yet, after we've already been going this long, you're about to listen to a interview that went close to 2 hours of me talking again. We've got Portals to Enlightenment, where I'm talking again. And this week, actually, as the producer, I actually make an appearance for the first time ever on Paranormal Crossings Into the Unknown. I'm going to have to edit that out because I totally blanked on it again. I tried to call him Portals to Paranormal. Like I said.
You didn't say Portals to Paradise.
Yeah. Although that might make for an interesting podcast.
Yeah.
Like I said, folks, my brain is fried at the moment. And I'm not even on any drugs. Believe it or not. This is how I normally am. But I do make an appearance, like I said, as a producer on, I tried to do it again, Paranormal Crossings Into the Unknown, where their guest this week is actually someone who has just started working with PNBC. Tammy is now she's an oracle card reader. She works with pendulums and crystals and a lot of different stuff like that. Really great interview. That one went into extra innings too. Normally Aaron likes to keep it 45 minutes to an hour, and I think we were on there for almost an hour and a half. It was just, once it started going, there was no stopping. We just kept on going strong. It was a great interview though, and definitely something interesting to check out. That's going to be tomorrow night at 8 p.m. That one's already uploaded, and if you want, go over there again, give him a like and a follow or whatever. Also, of course, it's all going to be available on iTunes, Podcast Addict, Google Play, Stitcher Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and anywhere else you happen to download your podcasts. And of course, if you happen to be one of those listening to the Paranormal NightStalker, you can also find us. As it stands right now, us alone, but soon the rest will be here on iHeartRadio. Now that I have stammered and stuttered and slaughtered the English language for far longer than I intended to with any of the other stuff, is there anything you want to throw in?
No, I think I'm good.
Then I think without further ado, we should bring on Paul and the rest of the South Carolina Paranormal Research and Investigation team. Until next week, of course, when we come back with, like I said, Matt from Paranormal Investigation Equipment. This is Joel Walling, sort of signing off before you listen to the big interview for Michael Smith. And, of course, that interview will be coming up right after this quick break. Today, joining us on the podcast is the South Carolina Paranormal Research and Investigation team. And just because, actually, I can't remember what town you're out of, so I'm just going to throw it right over to you now. If you want to give a little history about the team, where you guys operate, where your area basically is, if you're going through like the whole state, or how everything works out with you.
Okay. My name's Paul. I'm one of the board members of the team. The team has been around since August 26, 2007. 11 years. It was founded by Shelley Armstrong. She's no longer with the team. She's taken a step back because sometimes life gets in the way. And but now we basically run it. And Karen, I'll let you introduce yourself. It's you are my podcast co-host. You can do it next.
And my name is Carolyn, and we actually do the whole state of South Carolina. We are in different areas. I'm actually in upper South Carolina in the York County area, in Rock Hill. But I travel all over.
And my name is Darlene. I'm out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I'm the case manager for the team, so I get to schedule and talk to all the nice people before passing them on to our teams for investigations.
And last but not least, I guess, is me, and I'm Angie Smith, and I'm out of the upstate of South Carolina near the Greenville area. And I'm out of the board members, I've been on the team the longest for about 8 years. And I'm also the team treasurer, and I deal with all of our new membership applicants.
And she's also my daughter.
Yeah, mother-daughter team.
Well, that actually seems to be a running thing in the paranormal right now. I believe it's one of the other people we or work with in the past. Her name's June Lundgren. I believe she has a group called Ghost and Girls, but she also works with Northwest Paranormal in Oregon. And if I'm not mistaken, her partner in Ghost and Girls, Wendy, her daughter is part of Northwestern, and it's like a whole family affair with them. Any other family members that have been, I don't know, maybe catching on to the ghost hunting bug or whatever? I know it can get kind of addictive once you get started in it.
I've taken my sister one time.
I've taken my daughter, but that's been pretty funny because she sits around with a sheet over her head the whole time.
I could see something like that happen with my wife.
Yeah, she's terrified, so.
And my kids are like, "You go, Mom. We're good. You just go."
And my husband thinks I'm crazy, if that counts for anything.
Well, that's exactly what my wife thinks. She's like, she's even like when I talk to her about her, I'm like, "Hey, why don't you?" No, I don't even get like the whole question out. It's just automatic. No.
Yeah,
definitely
my. That is definitely my mind and my mark.
My kids don't mind hearing about it; they just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And then, like if you happen to go someplace you've been, and then they're like, "Oh, we should go check." No, we're not. Why? I know you've been there. No, because we went to a heritage park in a museum near me, and it's like, "Oh, you should go and check." This is really just out of the historic part of it. It's like, "Oh, you'd be really interested." No, I'm not. Okay,
Nope. Yep, I get that a lot. Mm-hmm. We've got some friends that they were former clients and they're friends now, and they're always inviting us to their house. And so one time I told my husband, I said, "Oh, we should go stay at their house for the weekend." Nope, I know it's haunted, not going.
Yeah, that's about it right there. No interest whatsoever. Like, nope, and I'm not gonna. It's like I don't want to hear it. It doesn't happen. If I don't talk about it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, those friends also gave me a dining room table, and I brought it home, and my husband says, "Did that come out of the haunted house?"
It's like, yeah. You look at I got it at a yard sale.
No, I had to tell them it came out of. They gave it to me, but it came out of storage. It came out of their house, but I couldn't tell him that.
I just can't let him listen to this. You realize?
Yeah, he won't listen to it anyway, so there's no danger.
I was about to say, if not, don't worry about it. I'll just edit that part out. I told him it came out of storage.
That's furniture by association.
He won't listen.
They give us a lot of stuff to sell too to help fund the team. So shout out to Will and Jeff for helping us out.
Yay, Will.
That's awesome. So, what type of? Or I don't know if you're able to go into what type of place was it? Was it like just a normal house or?
It is. it was built in the very late 1800s.
They for the earliest as I could tell, the house was built in 1860.
Oh wow!
They've renovated it and pretty much put all antiques and put it back to its natural beauty. It's
because it was an apartment.
Fantastic place.
Oh, so they did an actual historic renovation to it rather than modernizing it and everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, that's good because I mean, actually, it's one of the things I miss about living down in the South is the houses down there. Because up here, this is a relatively well, I guess you would say for the European side of it, the white influence, it's relatively recent. Or stuff from when I say like late 1800s, I'm talking like 1890s, and not a lot of it is even standing up this far. Down there, I remember actually the first place I ever did an investigation at was built in like 1870. There's a history and stuff you can feel the you can feel the energy in the house, even if there's no like haunting to it. You can still feel the energy.
They have energies in their house.
Oh yeah.
Got the EVP in your name, Darlene.
Yeah, I got an EVP in their house that whispered my name.
Oh wow!
But the funny thing is, they also collect clocks. I'd say they have well over 40 clocks in their house.
47.
47.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I said well over 40. But their spirits like to play with their clocks and go and change the time and stop the clocks and open the doors to the clocks and
even bend their springs inside the clock.
Oh wow! So they're really active.
Yes.
Wow, that is something I haven't heard anything like that. So, how long had it been going on there?
Been there 3 years.
They've been there 3 years, and I know they've been talking about the clocks for at least the last year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But activity. I think activity started very shortly after they moved in.
Yep.
With the renovations.
That'll usually do it.
Yes, it will.
I don't know what it is about that, but something about any time renovations start going on, it just seems to pick stuff up. But funny enough, that's exactly the house. What I was just talking about, the one I was investigating in Wilmington. It was being renovated at the time, and they let us come in. And of course, it still had like the old carriage house, and it had the kitchen that was actually. Basically, you could tell at one time it had actually been built off the house, but they had put a hallway going to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, that kind of stuff. And yeah, there were, like I said, it was really a fascinating place to be. It wasn't extraordinarily active except for one particular room. And it was I guess you would say she was she was head of the staff, is what she was. And she ruled her house with an iron fist. She did not like anybody being around there, didn't like anybody not asking her permission before they did something, and she considered everyone that basically walked in there her staff. And when you went into her room, especially her room specifically, you instantly knew you were not welcome in that room and you should leave.
Oh.
And she actually, at the time before I was there, they had made some communication with a couple of the other spirits that were in the house, and they were all terrified of her. She said one of them actually, I can't remember what they were using, but it basically was like, when she came into the room, they all shut up. Nobody would say anything. Because she didn't like them talking.
Huh.
It was interesting. I mean, there was some other crazy stuff happening there. Like, we did a record, actually at the time, the group I was with did live streams of it. And one time we got absolutely no audio from inside of the house, except for, we picked up a Christian radio station.
Oh my.
So being broadcast, you have the still cameras or the stationary cameras and everything we had going, and a Christian radio station for like 4 hours. And needless to say, I don't think anybody was watching that for long.
I would say
not.
So,
a lot of the land. It's a lot of the land too, not just houses. It's like we've done apartments, like brand new apartments.
Yeah. And newer houses and newer developments.
Yeah.
There's just so much history surrounding this whole area.
yeah, I know that South Carolina has always been kind of, the Carolinas period, that's one of the first places that were really colonized and, or turned into a major thoroughway because of the docks and the access to the ocean and all of that.
Yep.
So there's been stuff going on through the Carolinas forever. Even before that, it was a prime location for the natives and all the different trades and everything else. And of course, then there's pirates and when you come into the coast.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little culture shock for me when I'm from New York, and in New York, we don't have the history up there, and we don't really cherish it, or even, it's pretty much, once it happened, it's done. And then coming down here and knowing that to preserve the history, it's just amazing for me to come down here.
Oh yeah, I know. That's I was actually born in Kentucky, and then we moved to the Carolinas, and to hear, like I said, I don't remember what I was looking at, like talking about the time Blackbeard held the port of Charleston hostage.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, what are you meaning, like Blackbeard, the pirate guy? Yeah, he used to run all up and down the coast here, and he needed medicine, so they blockaded the port of Charleston until he got the medicine.
And they even have like a little festival that goes on because of that.
Yeah. I never made it down for that, but I did want to.
Yeah. I had just missed it when I looked it up online. I was like, dang it.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting. So while we're on the subject of the historic places, what are some of the other places you've been? I know Paul was talking about the Charleston jail.
That jail, we love jails.
Yeah, we tend to like jails. I don't know why. It's not indicative of anything.
The Charleston jail, the old Chester City jail, and then we did the jail in Georgia.
There's a jail in Ashburn, Georgia. It's actually the Crime and Punishment Museum.
Yes, it's the Crime and Punishment Museum now, but it used to be the old Ashburn jail in Georgia. We actually did that last August. September. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
So how was that?
It was amazing until I got bit. Then it kind of wasn't so amazing after that.
It was still cool for the rest of us. We can't help that Carolyn got bit.
Or bit by what? Or should we ask?
It was bit by a spirit. I literally had a bite mark on my hand. I was just sitting down. I was on a cot, and I was sitting down with like my elbows on my knees, holding my phone. And I happened to, get up and start talking. Not get up, but look around and start talking. Next thing you know, I look down at my hand, and I have a bite mark on my hand.
Oh wow!
And it's on like the top part of my left hand, in between where my thumb and my fingers go in that knuckle area. And I have a picture of it. And I was like, I just got bit.
Yeah, and we were all with her when it happened, so we were all sitting around talking.
Okay. Sorry, I was getting a little weird interference on there for a second.
Yeah, I heard that too. Dog growling.
That's actually kind of what it sounded like. It sounded like a dog growling.
Uh-huh.
But, that is something that when that happens, it does kind of... I've never been bit, I have to say. I've known people who have been grabbed. I've known people who've been pinched, and I myself have been slapped right in the back of the head.
Oh my!
You know, so it's definitely a freaking out kind of moment.
It is, because it had the bite mark only on the top. It was not. You don't have the bottom underneath where you have your bottom teeth bite. Mm-hmm. It did not have that at all, and the bite was so hard it made indents, and that lasted for quite a while.
Wow. So you actually had the teeth indents?
Yes.
Wow. I could see why that would freak you out a little bit.
Just a little bit. But
just a tiny, tiny bit. That's it's all right.
The story to that we had heard was the room that we were in is now they had like the juror's room, but it used to be the warden's son's room. And he would always see a little girl standing in his doorway. And the bite is actually kind of small. So I'm thinking maybe that little girl bit me. I'm not saying it's for sure. I'm not saying it happened. It was her, but it's the only kind of explanation I can come up with.
Yeah, it would make sense if it's a smaller bite. I mean, an adult will obviously leave a much larger area. That's kind of neat,
right.
Because it would, and also, of course, you got to think it. Well, I mean, I think we've all been around children enough to know that sometimes when they get annoyed at you or you're not paying the right amount they're going to reach over and give you a nibble. They're almost like,
well, I was looking at my phone, so I must not have been paying attention to her.
Yeah, it could have been something like that. I mean, definitely. That's interesting. So have you guys plan to go back there, or?
Oh, definitely.
Probably at some point,
yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and it seems like you never have enough time for them all. It's like, if I could just, if I could find one of those jobs that would just pay me to go around and do this.
Oh, that's our dream. That's what we all say, like every day.
Yeah. That's my friend up here, a guy that's part of the group up here. He always is playing the lottery, and he's like, "We're going to get an actual ectomobile like from Ghostbusters, and that's what we're going to go around. We'll just go everywhere. We don't have to worry about it now. Once I win the lottery,
dream life. I mean, that would be like so cool.
My dream, if I won the lottery, is to buy up the old insane asylum on Bull Street and fix it up like they do Trans-Allegheny and some of these other places, and kind of run it like they do, but then put the team in office in it.
Might need a Facebook post.
Oh, that would be awesome. There's quite a few of those kind of old places around down in the Carolinas. So my main area was Wilmington and Myrtle Beach, because Myrtle Beach and Wilmington are only about a 45-minute drive from each other.
Yep.
So that's where actually I got started in this, and we were planning on branching out before I met my wife and ended up moving to Canada, and now I'm here and in the middle of the almost frozen tundra.
I'm so sorry.
We sympathize.
It's cool. It's cold right now, but not near as cold.
It was about 55 in Myrtle Beach today. We're all in Myrtle Beach right now.
Actually, it's probably about the same as here. We're actually having it started warming up here, which is why I'm having the arthritis problem, because we're having rain now, which I don't have a problem with because I don't have to shovel rain. Yeah. As long as it stays water, I'm fine, because the water will go away on its own. I don't have to shovel that. It's when I have to shovel it.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Yeah. On that note.
Well, they're saying there's a possibility, or they were Friday, there was a possibility we might get some snow on Tuesday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not in Myrtle Beach. That's more toward Columbia and upstate.
Oh, yeah, you guys do get snow up there. I've actually been up through that part myself, too. I've been all around through the Carolinas at one point or another. Both of them.
But on a happier note, where are the donuts hidden?
today?
Yeah, it's coming through loud again.
But on the happier note, where are the donuts hidden?
They're sitting right beside the
Michael,
commercial.
Michael, you're not supposed to tell all of our secrets.
Well, that wasn't the big one. I just wondered, if, in fact,
You mean all 24 donuts?
but I didn't say nothing about 24. I just said donuts. I didn't give that part away. That's on y'all.
We're a proud not sponsor of Krispy Kreme.
We don't get just regular Krispy Kreme. We get the special Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, we might like Krispy Kreme just a little here in the South.
Hey, no.
And the bunny nose begin.
Yeah. I got Tony out to play, and she was doing bad stuff. No, over here.
And I got to say another thing I miss about the South is Krispy Kreme. We have a thing called Tim Hortons up here, and it's not the same.
I know Tim Hortons in our area too, in New York. Mm-hmm. It's like thing up there in New York.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it's.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I guess more like Dunkin' Donuts down there now because they actually serve food at Tim Hortons. That was actually one of the funniest experiences. Yeah. Yeah, kind of on that line.
Yeah.
You got us on our second favorite subject behind the South Carolina Paranormal.
Oh yeah, well it always ends up working around in there somewhere. Especially when you're dealing with me.
I have it, so can't live without.
And then sometimes I really miss Southern cooking, so I'm like, tell me about grits, cornbread. I can't find that up here. I can't find that up here anywhere.
And it's a good thing. Such a good thing that we don't have it up there.
No, it's not. I love my grits.
Our thing is oatmeal.
I don't like oatmeal or grits.
It's just weird.
I can't eat either one.
I don't like them either. I'm Southern born and bred.
Same.
Cheese grits are the best.
Cheese.
Okay, this ain't a cooking show.
Yeah, I guess. Now that we've got.
We're gonna get hungry and it's gonna get quiet for a while.
Let's see. Well, I guess since we got a choice of breakfast foods out of the way, we should go back to the ghost stuff. And then I'm going to be sitting here wanting the Krispy Kreme donuts, and there ain't a Krispy Kreme for about 3,000 miles from me. It's like when Michael sits and talks about White Castle. I'm like, the closest White Castle to me is like 3 plane rides and a train and 2 buses, and it's a pilgrimage, folks. And,
you can take the guy out of the South, not the South out of the guy.
Now, are you missing South Carolina now?
So, no.
We actually went to Atalaya, and we trekked over to Alice's grave. I don't know if you know the history on those.
Okay, dropped out a little bit at the end of that.
We went to Atalaya,
Oh yeah,
Castle, and Polly's
Island.
Polly's Island.
oh yeah.
Pretty good for Northern.
That was really nice.
Now I know there's been a lot of Michael. One of his favorite places is actually Atalaya. He's done quite a few things there, and I've helped him with the evidence review of Atalaya, and he's gotten some very interesting results from there. Have you guys ever investigated Atalaya before?
No, we would love to. I'm going to try and do an EVP session. There were so many people around that I was worried about contamination, so I didn't even try to do it.
Yeah, that is one thing with the park, with it being a park. Actually, that was one of the things I had to go through when like I said, I helped Michael with I'm kind of the audio guy and I do the audio evidence. And it was like, yeah, I went through a probably good, 10, 15 minute section of a woman going, "What are you doing? Are you doing that stuff like on the ghost shows? Did you hear anything?" It's like, and then
said that you heard all kinds of. Fish might have ran out.
yeah. Well, it's hilarious because she has the same habit that everybody does when they first hear it. Like, "Are you recording this? Are you doing stuff like on the ghost shows?" It's like, don't whisper, please. It's like just instantly.
Like, are you ghost hunters?
And they come up to you and ask you, and you say, "You can see me."
I've always said I'm going to do that. I don't know why up here we get we're just called the ghost guys. That's what I've either been called the ghost guys or the ghost guy. That's what I always get. Like even last night I had a lady call me and she's like, "I hope I got the right number." I'm like, "Okay. Are you the ghost guys?" Yes, I'm one of them. It's like, yes, that's us.
Okay.
I wish you change the name of the group. That's what everybody knows us as.
Yeah.
We're the ghost guys. I used to be horrible about people calling ghost hunters. I'm like, oh God, no, I'm not like the people. I'm not like those guys on TV. The same with now, good Lord, if they say anything about Zach Bagans, I'm liable to kill somebody. It's like, here, I tell you what, I'll make you an EVP.
Mark calls us the voodoo team.
Yeah. It's as close to ghost as he'll met is voodoo.
Well, I've heard that South Carolina actually has more communities, but I don't know.
Not too many either, especially
Yeah, the people
Yemisi,
toward Charleston.
Yemisi, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Bill. Yes.
That's the geeky, the goo-goo, the
The
geekies.
The Geechee and the Gola.
The Gola. The Gola is what I was thinking of.
Yeah, that one I've heard of. I've heard of the Gola. And they actually, there is a pretty good, a pretty good chunk of voodoo in the coastal parts of the Carolinas, or South Carolina specifically.
Yep. I had not heard of it until Paul and I went to Beaufort for an investigation, and he's like, "This is the killer." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
There's actually a fairly good voodoo population in Conway.
I did not know.
I didn't know there was that much in a Conway, but I knew like between between Georgetown and Charleston, Clellanville, right through that area.
Like when I was growing up, we used to go to the closest movie theater where I lived, to go to the Embassy and all that. And people would claim when you drive back to the old show in church, if you're going to Civil War, and someone was like, "They're not hearing God, they're hearing the voodoo people."
But now, I would have never got Conway.
Hey guys, just a second here. Can we maybe see? I'm getting a little bit of a glitch going on here. Maybe see if we can turn off the camera, if that might help smooth things out. It was going fine earlier, but now it's like the camera's freezing up, and we're getting it's breaking the audio a little bit.
Okay. How's that work?
It seems like it's going pretty good. We'll give it a shot. I mean, it hasn't been too bad at all, but it's just that, like I said, it was just kind of like a little. a glitch to it. It almost like a hiccup sound.
Ah.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going good now.
That might have been it then.
Yeah, I was thinking probably get a little bit of a slowdown. So, I know you guys are down there now for an investigation. Is there anything you can tell us about it or what you're going to be doing? Or did we lose them?
I think we lost them.
Still says they're in the call.
We're on.
Okay, now I hear you again.
Yeah. Alrighty. You hear it?
Yep.
Yeah,
Just pop back on.
Okay.
We're actually not here for an investigation this weekend. We actually were having a board members retreat so that we could plan the event for the team for 2019. But while we were at it, we decided we would go over to Adelia and to Alice's just for the fun.
Oh.
It's been a working.
Okay, so just basically getting an investigation where you can. But this was actually for a getaway and a meeting. Okay. Oh, it makes sense. I mean, if you're there and you're near stuff, I mean, why not go to it if you're there?
We try everywhere we can.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's the same way I am about the stuff like we went on a family vacation a few years ago, and I'm like, oh, we're going near Quesnel. Wife's like, yeah, so there's a haunted doll in there in the museum. Let's go there. So, believe it or not, I actually got her in there.
Oh, wow.
I actually got her in there. And not only did we stop there we stopped there coming back, and I've been there again.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a really creepy. I don't know if you've had any experience with, I guess you would say, haunted items, but you feel this doll long before you see it.
Ooh.
It is a creepy feeling because
Paul would definitely be out. He's afraid of dolls.
I don't like dolls.
I don't like dolls particularly either. But for some reason, I like haunted dolls. It's like, ooh. Well, I guess it's the curiosity's getting the better of the, I hate those things. I don't know. They're just creepy to me. Dolls in general. I know,
He has 3 sets of equipment, and one of them has a shadow detecting baby doll on it, and I make sure it's not on my set of equipment to use.
I know my,
But we like to prank call baby doll.
Oh, you like to do pranks on him?
Yes, just because we know he's so afraid of the baby doll.
Well, Bill doesn't like it either, and Melanie caught him on video. She hid it like in the bathroom and put the camera. She had the equipment that weekend and put it in her house. And she hit the camera, and he walked into the bathroom and at last, and he jumped about 10 feet. Then he saw the camera and just took it off.
Yeah, the baby doll has been known to show up in the bed with Paul, and
that's why it's your set of equipment.
That's right. It's in my set of equipment, so I can prank you with
Yeah,
it.
because if it ends up in mine, it's going to end up in the dumpster.
It's gonna get lost.
She does kind of even giggle though. So,
That's what makes it creepy is the giggle. It's not the fact that it's a doll itself.
Yeah, I know. There's some of the dolls that just give me the absolute creeps. Like, when I was actually first doing the show, I was doing it from a friend of mine's house, or original partner in this with Star Anderson, and she had this. Oh Lord, what is her name? Marie Osmond doll.
Oh my.
And I had that doll just creeped me out. She had to go put that doll away because I would not come into the house with that thing out. She would hide it. It was like a limited edition collector's item. And I'm like, I don't care. That's hideous. Get rid of it. I will throw it away for you, just like you're not throwing away my doll. She collected them. But I was like, it's just creepy. I was like, how can you sit there with that thing staring at you all the time? That's what I think is the biggest thing. It's like they're just staring at you. They got this little beady eyes, and they're just staring at you. And no, I don't like them either.
Is it the Chinese? I believe the Chinese that believe that something has eyes, even if it's like an object, they believe that it has a soul. I believe it's the Chinese.
I think so.
I have to look that up.
Okay, Lynn.
Actually, the Mormons believe the same thing, or not the. I'm sorry, the Amish
I didn't know that.
have the same thing. None of the dolls the Amish girls have faces.
That's right. I remember seeing the documentary on that.
That would be creepy.
Because
Yeah, I don't know which would be worse, the creepy eyes or no face at all.
they think
I think the doll is much more creepy.
Yeah, I would think.
We went to Old South and people leave toys around for like the children's spirit, and there was a teddy bear that had no face, and I think it was creepy. Sometimes I walk past it, like, that's creepy.
Like, why would you leave that here? Now you're going to scare off all the children's spirits.
Yeah, I know.
So, out of your, I mean, you guys have been doing this for quite some time. Out of your times, what are some of your favorite places you've been, and some of the favorite places you've investigated?
Most of our investigations come in private citizens. We do residentials.
Yeah.
Most of the places we go is just for team trips and pure enjoyment.
But I would say probably one of our favorites, and I think if we polled the team members, they would all say the same, the ones that have been, was to Old South Pittsburgh Hospital.
Johnson Jail. Yeah.
No, I haven't been.
Those are my two favorites.
Yes, I enjoyed the Charleston jail. So the toss up between Old South Pittsburgh and Charleston jail. Yeah.
Paul, you've been to both. Which one did you prefer out of the two?
The Charleston Jail is creepy, but I got more evidence at Old South Pittsburgh. I didn't get any EVPs in the jail, but we did get a couple motion blanks. So
it's actually creepier than Old South Pittsburgh.
yeah, it's darker.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And that's where I
Except
saw my
for-
first shadow man.
The only thing that was darker at Old South Jail was that one hallway where they did the surgeries. There's no window down there. That may have been maybe dark, but overall the jail was darker. So,
Oh, wow. So what were
except
some
for
of
that
the...
damn mask. Except for that damn mask sitting on that pipe that made me jump 20 feet up in the air.
This was at the old hospital, and we went down in the basement and walked around the corner, and somebody put a really gross Halloween mask, just propped it up on a pipe, walked around the corner, and Paul was going to hit the floor.
Oh, I said every curse word on the way up to the ceiling and every curse word on the way down from the ceiling.
You know, that would actually mess with you.
We were in public.
You know,
Face, and then we have our private.
well, no offense against Paul, but this bunch is a lot more damn fun.
There's about, 5 guys?
Hank, Brandon, Bob,
And Bill.
and Bill.
6.
And what's his
Oh,
name?
Sean.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Sean, and what's his Katie's?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
keep forgetting he just joined. So,
Well, they haven't really joined yet. They're still waiting on their 3 investigations.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
but
mean,
they're in training. Some of them.
Yeah, but you're the only one that actually comes out and does stuff.
That's because I have no life.
we are your life.
Yeah, pretty much.
He loves us. He just
Ghost
won't admit
hunting
it.
is my passion.
Do what?
Ghost hunting is my passion.
Something like
God. What has happened at the sexual. See, you got me doing it now.
Now you got him tongue-tied too now.
What has happened to the sexual integrity of this show?
Now, you know as well as I do, there ain't no such thing as integrity of this show.
I know that.
This is not PG. All bets are off.
We show our true colors.
We are seriously we are seriously working out drunk podcasting.
I know. I told them
I said that to Paul that we should do it.
And I say,
none of us are doing it ever again.
That's what I say. It's either going to be the greatest episode in podcast history or the biggest train wreck. One of the two, and probably a little bit of both. It'll probably be the most listened to and the biggest train wreck of all time.
I'm going to say the greatest.
So the plan is to get all the hosts from all the podcasts to do this?
Yeah, that would be a plan.
God,
I don't know. I don't know if though. I don't honestly because actually I think I was talking. I think Aaron I was talking to about it, and he was like, this would absolutely destroy everything, right? It's like, maybe. Who knows? But
that could be funny. I think.
I've always looked at
after 30 minutes.
No, you won't.
I've always looked at the podcast as entertainment. We don't.
It would
really...
be some entertainment.
Yeah, it's like that's exactly what I've always looked at this as. It's like if I'm on an investigation, I'm all business.
Exactly.
There's no joking in me at all. I can be a little light, but I mean, like when I'm actually doing this, I'm in it 100%. This is entertainment.
Yep.
This is meant to be fun. This is meant to be funny. This is meant to be entertaining. So yeah, I would throw it. I would throw it on and do that. I mean, we actually on one of our we do live streams periodically on Facebook with PNBC. And one of those we played. I don't know if you've ever heard of the game Cards Against Humanity.
Oh yeah,
I love that game.
We played a version called Crabs Adjust Humidity, and I won with Bill Cosby's Jello Pudding Pop, or Bill Cosby's Special Pudding Pop makes its own sauce. It's like.
I'm sure it does.
This is going out across the internet on Facebook. We actually had like 3,000 people watching it at the time, and I said the same thing then. I'm like, when we do these things, unless we're doing like, because I do experiments on there, like testing different stuff with spirit boxes and the such of that. But it's like, if I'm doing those, then yes, I'm going to be serious. If not, then it's just, it's to have fun. We'll tell jokes, we'll play around. That's what the people, at least that watch the live stream, have come to expect with us. Like we did one last night and got over 5,000 people watching it. So it's like, that's kind of what they expect from us. We do, when we're serious, when we need to be serious. But when we don't need to be serious, then why bother? Tell jokes, have fun.
Sometimes you need that release.
That's exactly what when we did that, it was like we were having a chaotic and crazy and a pretty rough week. So it was like, hey, we just needed a release tonight. We had promised we were going to go live. So it was like, we have a game here. And it's a horrible, horrible game with some terrible, terrible things. And I was surprised we didn't get kicked off of Facebook over it. I mean, some of the cards in that are like, oh my God.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. It's like, what the imagination these people had to make up these cards.
No kidding.
They are dimensional.
And I love it.
Oh, I do too. It's a great game. It's hilarious. I can only think of one time, one card, I'm like, I'm not reading this. It was that bad. It's like, I'm not reading this out loud. I was like, if the camera was off, no problem. I'm not putting this on the internet. No.
Yep.
There was only one card.
I just can't.
That was a fun night. It was absolutely horribly horrible fun, and I could see doing that. That's what we should do. We should all get together with Cards of Humanity or one of those and do a drunk podcast and play that.
Oh my God!
Yeah. I have the whole set of Cards Against Humanity. I have the whole set.
That one, like I said, that one was just that's a great game.
It really is.
It is terrible, but great.
I could do that. They don't know the depth of my depravity yet.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, if you listen to the show, we can go off. I go off on people all the time. I have my rant episodes. We used to do those where it was just like in weeks where stuff would build up. I just go off on a rant for an hour because there's just so much stupidity in the world. And it's like I just have to let it out. But you should hear some of the stuff that doesn't make the air.
We had one whole show we had to drop because it was too bad.
Oh, God, yeah. That was when I was talking about that James Cloud guy. Yeah, I actually, by the time I was listening back to that, editing it, I was like, wow, that's harsh even for me.
I wasn't helping none.
And I'm one of those people. I have like when I go off, I have no filter. There's no level I won't, no level I will not stoop to. And I'm listening to that going, oh dear God, did I really say that?
Holy crap, Shirley came out. I need to put her back in.
Most of the time I am Joe's filter.
Yeah.
I don't filter either.
Well, that's the thing. That's what's always makes us work good together.
Well, we have been known to.
I don't have a filter either.
You don't.
I've been told that.
We
all get along.
Would you get aggravated with someone on the team? Almost like, oh shit, Carolyn's gonna say something. Carolyn, calm down, Carolyn. Calm down for a minute.
That's what I do.
I do that at work too.
Joe, don't say anything. Joe, so shut up.
You can't say that. Well, he knows. I've got my. He knows. We've been friends now for years, so that he knows my levels, and he knows like the one really to start like, okay, stop, calm down, is when I get to the okay, listen, motherfucker. When the listen, motherfucker comes out, that's when you know, oh damn, that's when. Or alright, motherfucker. Yeah, because I've actually done that one. Like, I think I was actually doing an episode, one of my rants about Zach Bagans with their Halloween special. I think 2 years ago when they had like the witch and the warlock and the vampire and the doll and all of that crap in the haunted museum.
That was a weird episode.
And Zach was wanting to get, Zach was wanting to fuck Annabelle or whatever. And he's sitting there and he's doing it, and I want to touch her, and I want to touch her, and I was like, okay, motherfucker, if you want to do that with the doll, you need to take that shit off camera. None of us want to see that.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh, and you got a witch and a warlock and a vampire, and he's staring in a mirror, and I didn't think vampires could be seen in mirrors. What the hell? This shit.
A really bad episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer to me.
It was an episode.
And then, but what he really pissed me off about was he comes out and he goes, well, I know everyone says I over dramatize and act like this, but I'm a sensitive, and that is the way sensitives are. And I actually tweeted him this. So I know I've seen it because I've actually argued with him about other stuff before, and he's actually responded, and we have argued on Twitter.
Wow, you get to Twitter wars.
Yeah, I because there's some stupidity levels that I just have to actually make, do something to where I'm sure they will see it. At least if they see it, then I feel better about it. And I tagged him and I responded to one of with his big letter about how he's a sensitive. I said, I was trained in the paranormal field bias sensitive, so sell that to somebody else, motherfucker. You know, it's like Star would have kicked your ass for acting like that. Because she was one of those. She had a hot head too. She had a temper on her, and she'd get rid of you in a heartbeat. If you start screwing around on an investigation with her, she will kick you out of it. She actually did that before I became on the team. There was somebody that they were. I think it was a girl that one of the two other guys was trying to date or whatever. I don't know. It was before I got there. She was goofing around, and she's like, "All right, you little bitch, get out. Now, start walking."
Sounds like something I do.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Sounds like something I do.
No, sorry, it wasn't someone. It was not one of them. It was a friend of somebody that ended up coming over, and she also did that while we were on an investigation together with one of the girls that lived in a house. We were investigating her boyfriend. She looked at him and she was like, "I'm going to just put this to you simple. Sit down, shut up, or get out. Those are your choices. Yep. Sit down, shut up, or get out." And he ended up getting out. She actually threw him out of his own house, basically.
Well, we've had people in the past, so we actually have to tell people, like, this is not a party. Because I know in the past, they'd be like, friends keep coming. Here comes more friends. Here comes more friends. So we just pack up and leave.
Yeah.
You got to
try to tell all of our clients, limit the number of people in the house when we're there to investigate, because otherwise you're getting no good evidence. You're only getting contamination.
You don't need to send 50 of your buddies need to come over with the beer while we're here.
Well, that's actually
come over after.
That's actually what we did. We ran into. It was actually an apartment, and man, it was like off the scale. The apartment.
There was some wicked shit in that apartment.
And I smoke. I smoke cigarettes, so I was going outside and smoking. And I noticed, like, I go out one time, and there's like 4 or 5 people hanging around. And, I'm thinking, hey, it's an apartment, it's a college town. 4 or 5 people around, that's normal, I go out the next time, there's like 10. And I'm like, what's up? And then one guy finally looks over and he's like, "Is this place haunted?" And I was like, "Oh, Jesus."
Those guys?
Pretty much. So I'm just like, I don't know. And I'm just going on because I'm like, I knew what was coming. Then
so Paul has a good story about a guy that comes over and wants a beer.
No,
yes.
Lord Jesus.
Oh. No, whatever story whatever story gets the response that, oh Lord Jesus, that's, I got to hear that one.
Come on, Paul, tell your story.
So Darlene was the only one in this room currently that was there. So while we were setting up the equipment and everything, the dude's like, "I'm going to leave y'all the house. Me and my buddies are going to go drinking." And so I'm upstairs. I think I was doing something with cameras upstairs. I didn't know he had put a note on the door that said, "Do not knock on the door." So halfway through the investigation,
he had a neighbor that came over a lot, and he didn't want the neighbor bothering us. So he had put a note on the front door, "Do not knock on the door."
Well, someone comes and they can knock on the back door.
We were doing EVPs because we were in different rooms. We heard knocking, and we're like, "Oh,
and then
did you hear that?"
We heard it in the back, and then we heard it in the front. I said, because I went to check on Darlene to see if she heard it. And when I was checking on her, I heard it coming from the front door. I was like, okay, someone's at the door. Not knowing that there was a sign on the door, since I didn't hear this, or I wouldn't have answered the door. So I go down, and this dude's like, "Yo, is such and such home?" I'm like, "No, he's not home right now." He said I could come get a beer, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, well, he didn't tell me all this, so let me find his number and call him. So I'm trying to find this dude's number for like 2 minutes. I don't know where it is in my email. And he reaches over and pinches my nipple. And I just looked at him. He goes, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I just had the urge to do that." And I was like, "Go inside, get you a beer." At this point, I was like, "Get a beer and get out of here." I was like, "I'm not even trying to find this dude's number. Get the beer and go."
So then we had a team member that made him some nipple protector cups out of red Solo cups.
I still have them. Never know.
Because you never know what you're going to encounter in this investigation.
Of course, that was also the night around midnight when Paul was doing a cleansing, and the smoke from the sage set off the house was wired straight into the fire department, the fire alarm. And we didn't know the fire alarms had gone off.
And the dude had thought he canceled it. And apparently
here comes the fire trucks, at like midnight into this cul-de-sac with sirens and red lights flashing.
They were there before. They know we're there now.
That was quite an eventful night for you, Paul.
What was weird about
and cute firemen.
What was weird about that case though is the next morning, I was asleep in my bed and my fire alarm went off one time. It beat one time. I was like, I guess I'm taking that as a sign that cleansing worked.
Wow.
And damn, if I don't know all it took to get a damn fireman was to save the freaking house.
I bombed that house.
I just want to know, were the firemen cute?
I don't even remember. It was in the middle of the night. I
Honey,
was like, damn.
honey, firemen are always cute. I never saw one that wasn't.
They were cute.
They're out there.
The job requirement.
The whole night was what it was, and I was just like, I'm ready to go home. And then Melanie rode with me, and she laughed all the way home about that dude pitching my nipple, all the way to Columbia. And I'm pretty sure when she went on to career, she laughed all the way by herself.
I'm sure she did. I would have too.
Because we're still laughing 2 years later.
Yeah. I think it was
I was
that
still laughing about it. I heard that.
Why me? Why is it always me?
But you like it.
No, I don't. Not about weirdos.
Sorry, but you're a lady. And ladies like to have their nipples pinched.
Okay. I'm sending you all the sit the fuck down award. If you have to sit the fuck down award, Joel, I'll send it to you in a minute so you'll know what it looks like.
Get us drunk and have us do this, right? this is us sober.
That's true. That could be bad. That's actually drunks on investigations can be fun to deal with. Because
remember the guy that peed that time, Joe, on the
we were doing an investigation at a house, and they had been talking about a shadow that moved across this back fence. So, of course, we focused some of our cameras on the back fence. And all of a sudden, we're sitting there. We were taking a little bit of a break, sitting at the control center where we got all the cameras and the video and everything's going. And we're like, holy shit, there's a shadow moving on the fence. So, of course, me and Jason, one of the other members of C-Spot, we go tearing outside to get a pic, to go after this. We got cameras, we got all this. We're going after this shadow. We get out there. There's a guy staggering around, swaying a little bit, just dropped his pants and taking a piss on the fence. And
that out.
We're like, we can see you. He's like, oh yeah, and I was like, we got cameras. It's dark. Cameras can't see in the dark. Like, I can if they're not. They can if they're night vision.
Wow.
Those are night vision. Why would we have set up cameras in the dark if they weren't night vision? Can you put it away, please? You're standing here talking to me, still holding it, just talking away. Turns around, face it's like having this huge discussion. Now he's not only on two different stationary night vision cameras, he's on a third, the one I'm holding.
Oh, jeez.
Name Joe Smith.
Yeah.
And I just got your message. This Paul, I got your picture.
Set the fuck down award.
Yeah, we need to make a subcategory. Also, we need to have the set the fuck down award and the shut the fuck up award. You know, I believe in encompassing everyone.
Oh. Tell them about the, it's not funny, but it's a good experience. The one Ashley had when she was watching the DVR down at Hanging Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Is it Hanging Rock?
Yeah, Hanging Rock. So
the house.
Paul and I were on an investigation. Took my daughter, and so we had her watching the DVR for us while we were doing the investigation. And the house itself sits on an old battlefield. It was a Revolutionary War battlefield.
Yeah. Hanging Rock, if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah, it's in Heath Springs, South Carolina. But she was watching the DVR, and we were in a room down the hall, and all of a sudden I can hear her quickly approaching the room, and she opens the door and she says, "Mama, come out here." And I'm like, "What's the matter?" And she said, "I was sitting there watching the DVR, and I heard somebody coming up the steps." She said, "I thought it was one of you guys." She said, "And I waited." She said, "Then the door opened, and nobody came in." It had scared her so bad she wouldn't sit there and watch the DVR by herself anymore for the rest of the night. But I think, Paul you got an EVP of somebody going upstairs.
Yeah, we actually heard
You heard them with your own ears,
our ears. So I told Amy, just said, "Did you guys come upstairs and go in the other room?" She's like, "No." And we double checked the camera, and the homeowner didn't come in either, so we couldn't explain
why there were footsteps coming up the steps, across the porch, and through the door.
Yep.
Wow.
Cool.
That would be something to hear. I know, when stuff like that happens, it really kind of sends a shock on your system almost. I know it happened to, actually, me and Pete were up here at the little place. It's called the Georgia Little House. It's actually the founder of Terrace, one of the founders of Terrace's house. And we were just doing a little, not even really an investigation. We were just testing. Pete had got new motion sensors for his cameras he had. And his cameras, he's picked up some great pictures. We were actually in the newspaper with one of the pictures. It shows somebody like sitting on a bench. It's incredible. And we actually ended up finding out that we have the person walking into the room with the bench and sitting down. He ended up losing a card, and he just had found it right before he actually moved to Kamloops. He left here, and it's kind of a shadowy outline, but it actually has like a robe you can see, and you can see it's got the same markings on both, and it's literally like walking through the doorway and then going around a corner and sitting down. So he was wanting to test his cameras and test his new motion sensor, see if it got anything. So we were sitting there, and we decided to go. The last time we were there, because it's at a train tracks, we weren't really able to do anything. So it was like, well, we'll go upstairs and do a little EVP session, just see if they get anything. His recorder died. My camera died, so I was just like, okay, we're just going to call it quits. Yeah, okay, so we were just sitting up there, just, shooting the shit. We were just talking for a minute, and we hear a woman's voice go, "Hello." He was like, "Oh," so, needless to say, we go out there, we figure, oh crap, we must have forgot to lock the door. Maybe the lady that runs it came back early, So we yell out for her. And he's like, "Yes, we're up here. We're upstairs." No answer. "Hello?" No answer. Then me and him got to look at each other and are like, "Oh, what the hell?" Go down. There's not a soul in there. The door's still dead bolted, locked.
Mm-hmm.
Not a soul. And me and him both heard this woman clear as I'm talking to you right now. "Hello?" Like she had come in the door and yelled for someone. Yeah, just as clear as a bell. We both heard it. I got it on, we did get it on 2 different recorders. The only thing is, like I said, we were talking. So we weren't really, we were shutting everything down. We were done. And you actually you can hear like, hello, like that, and then we're talking over it. And then he's like, oh, somebody's here. And we go, then you hear him go, oh, somebody's here. He finishes like the sentence, and we go out to do, it's like I said, you just kind of like, then, we're walking around there like, even after you've been doing this, Pete's been doing this for over 25 years. I've been doing it for over 10 years. It's still one of those things like, I know I heard a person's voice, but you're walking around and there's nobody there. The place was dead bolted. He called the lady that, okay, we're done. He thought for sure she had come in. No, she was over having a drink. She had having a glass of wine and appetizers with somebody. Nowhere near the house.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just, it's a freaky experience when that kind of stuff happens. It's awesome. I wish, and it's just that they're like, oh, why do we have to be
want it to happen all the time, and then when it does, it's just kind of like, whoa, did that really happen?
Exactly.
That was one of my first personal experiences, was hearing like a moan, and then going and getting somebody, and we're trying to figure out if we can debunk it, and then hearing it again, and still not being able to debunk it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that when you get something like that, when you actually hear it with your own ears, you see it with your own eyes, it's a crazy experience, because like you said, you want it to happen again and again and again, yet every time it happens, it's still that same like, how did it happen?
First time. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like the first time every time.
I know. I do a lot of EVP research, different techniques and whatever, and Mark helps me with them sometimes, And he helped me with one for a few days, and then he had to go to work, and so I was doing some ones by myself. And I got an EVP, it was a Class A. Said, "Where's Mark?" And I didn't know what was worse, the fact that it knew that who Mark was, or it knew the fact that he wasn't here.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking behind me, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It makes you take notice. Honestly, it does.
Well, I've heard Joe's wife. We talk on Skype every day, and I've heard Joe's wife call him, and she's not home. And but I've heard her call you I've heard her call you. I've heard her voice over Skype.
Periodically here, we have a woman say my name. Everybody in the house has heard her. And if one of the kids hear, it sounds like their mom. And if my wife, Charmaine, hears the voice, it sounds like one of because they're mother and daughter. They all, her and the two daughters sound exactly alike almost. On the phone, it takes like a good minute almost of talking to them before you can be certain which one it is. They all three sound alike. Daughters and mothers and brother, you can't tell me apart from my brother most of the time. I have two brothers that sound almost exactly like me, and that's, so if Charmaine hears it, she assumes it's one of the kids, one of the girls, and if they hear it, it's their mother. But I've quit answering it, because like Michael was saying, we were actually sitting one day, and I remember because it actually freaked him out, because I heard, and I went to look, because sometimes we live on what do they call them, a split level. We have a basement, but it's an above ground basement.
Mm-hmm.
So we have stairs that come up, and sometimes if there's something heavy or something, Charmaine will bring it in and set it down and holler for me, and then I'll go downstairs, get it, and bring it up. So that's what I assumed. And I went on, there's nobody in the driveway, there's nothing at the bottom of the stairs, there's nothing anywhere. No doors open or anything like that. So, okay. So I came back in and sat down, oh, well, it wasn't her. I'm like, no, I heard Charmaine. I'm like, It wasn't her. Well, maybe she got in the house around you. There's only one door into my house, and you would have to have come past me to get in it. I'm sitting here facing it. No, I heard her. I know what I heard. It's like, now you finally heard her. I don't know who she is. I don't know any of the details, but it's her. So I just call her. She's also a music critic. Because I like hard rock, and I'm a fan of a band called Slipknot. She is not. Well, she is not. You know the song, the Heretic Anthem?
Yep.
That song gets paused every time it's played out loud in my house.
Oh my gosh!
It actually happened the day we moved in here. I was unpacking, and I had a tablet, and I had my music going, and I was playing that song. And it went off. I thought, okay, it's been playing for a little bit. My tablet died. So I walk over, I get my charger, I plug it up, and the screen lights up. No, it's at like 70%. So I'm like, okay, my tablet didn't die. For whatever reason, it just paused. So I started playing it again. I just hit play. Start to walk away. Before I get about 5 steps, off it goes again. Turn around, go back, hit play again. Take a couple of steps, off it goes again. Now, I've had this song for, this MP3, I've had it for 3 or 4 years. Never had a problem with it. Haven't had a problem since. I can listen to it right now through these earphones, and it will play through flawlessly. But if I play it out loud, it'll stop playing. Does not like that song. So,
oh my God.
I have to make sure that one gets moved out of rotation if I play music out loud.
That is crazy.
Yeah, that's an interesting experience there. Because she's a music critic. Doesn't like that. Now she does like CCR. She likes Bob Seger. Luckily, I have a very varying musical taste. I listen to all kinds of stuff, so I could always play something else. And she's okay with those, and she's okay with some of the other Slipknot, but just definitely not the Heretic Anthem. Heretic Anthem is a no-no.
Oh my gosh. They're actually really good in concert.
That's what I've heard. I've always wanted to see them live, and now I've moved up here where we don't get a lot of live shows anywhere near us.
Yeah. No, you don't.
We do have a decent-sized city near us called Prince George, and that's where we get any of the concerts that come through. That's about. If not, you're dealing with Vancouver, and you're looking at like $150 a night minimum for the hotel room and plane tickets and all of that crap. So Vancouver's about out of it.
Yeah, not many around Myrtle Beach either.
Myrtle Beach used to be big, though. They used to have a lot of them.
Used to get some good shows at House of Blues. They got nothing there anymore.
Yeah, I know I had a friend that used to go there a lot. And I actually used to date a girl that did concert photography. And she used to go there all the time and take pictures. All the time. And I hear about it now, and it's like completely dead.
Yeah.
Columbia gets concerts, but typically Charlotte gets all the good concerts.
Charlotte, Greenville gets some good ones, but the stuff they bring in at the House of Blues just does not attract people. They give away tickets more than they sell them these days.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And you figure with the House of Blues being that close to Charleston and Wilmington's not got a small population either, just Charleston. You figured they'd be.
You'd think they'd bring in some good acts, but they don't.
Yeah, that'd be an easy money spot.
But also, the issue with Columbia is a lot of the celebrities and stuff like that, they don't take the bus anymore, or they take planes. And the Columbia Airport is notoriously known to be a sucky ass airport. So everybody just skips over Columbia now and they go to Charlotte.
Yeah.
Charlotte's always attracted big names.
I've known a couple of events that happened in Columbia where they've sent limousines to pick celebrities up in Charlotte and then bring them down here and then send the limousine back.
Wow. Like,
I know
come
they
on,
did that
folks.
with Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers came to Columbia one year, and that's what they did. They went and got her in the limo in Charlotte and drove her to Columbia. They couldn't find her flight.
Whatever happened with that concert, big one, the female singer? Is that who it was that was coming to Columbia?
Yeah, it was huge apparently. Yeah,
I never heard anything else about it.
Yeah. They shut down streets and schools for that concert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Oh.
University of South Carolina actually closed down.
Because they said the school buses wouldn't be able to get the kids home in time because
That's
of all
what
the
I mean.
traffic.
You heard all these assumedly horror stories, and
Yeah.
then I never heard anything about the concert.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was packed. I know people who went.
That was actually we were actually looking at going to a concert a couple of years ago. We were going to go see U2 in Vancouver. And I'm so glad we didn't. It was U2 and Mumford & Son. And they were doing this new thing where you didn't get a ticket. And you had to do like some kind of pass and use the credit card that you paid with and all of this stuff. The lines were backed up over a mile.
Oh my God. Yeah, screw that.
And U2 was in the middle of its set before most of the people got into the concert venue. The main, we're not talking like, they were showing a video of Mumford & Son playing. And they said, honest to God, legitimately, there was maybe 300 people in the arena. This arena, I think it was Rogers Arena. Rogers Arena holds like 60,000. And they were sold out.
Nobody was inside.
Nobody could get in. Like I said, the lines, they actually they had police putting up, please remain calm. We are trying to get this work, because they were actually, like, the commissioner, everything was going to the venue itself going, we've got to get these people in here or we're going to have a riot. Because honest to God, it was backed up over a mile. I think because they do kilometers here rather than, and it's like, I think it's 1.2 kilometers is a mile or something like that.
Yeah.
Or it's about, no, sorry, it's a little bit, it's almost 2 to 1.
Right.
And the line at one time, the longest I can remember hearing about the line was 2.5 kilometers long. So it was a little over a mile. And that was a mess. It was horrible. And that actually cost Vancouver a ton of shows. A lot of bands won't come here now. Won't come into Vancouver. Because they got notoriously bad for getting people in. Because not only did they miss, I mean, if you miss the opening act, even though I would have rather sing the opening act than the main, I'm a fan of U2, but not that big. I really would love to have seen Mumford & Son.
Josh was free. They were.
Yeah. After that, it was pretty much downhill to me.
Yeah.
But my wife loves U2, and I like Mumford & Son, so I was like, oh, well, this will be good for both of us. We both get to see a band we want to see. And, of course, the tickets were, like, sold out in a minute and 20 seconds, which was stupid. They had the scalpers just killed it. The computers, they have the computers go in and get the tickets, and then they sell them on the aftermarket for, like, some of the front row tickets were going for like $8,000 a seat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I ain't never seen a damn band worth $8,000 a seat, but that's beside the point.
Jesus Christ better be the drummer.
No kidding. Hey, it's the Holy Trinity. You know, the Father on bass, the Holy Ghost on guitar, Jesus on drums.
And you better be in the G string.
That's about what McCartney tickets are going for in Greenville in May. Paul McCartney's going to be in Greenville in May, and I think good seats there. I think the highest ones were somewhere around 8,000.
That is crazy.
I am not paying $8,000 to see somebody.
The cheapest ones. What was the cheap? Because I was going to buy the cheapest ones just to go because it's Paul McCartney, and they were $250 or something like that.
Wow.
And that was at the very top of the
arena.
At
the very, very top of the arena. The worst seats in the house were $250. Oh.
That's crazy. I mean, you know, well, actually, the last, no, actually, it wasn't the last concert. Me and my wife went a couple of years ago to see Bryan Adams. And actually, if you ever see Bryan Adams come in that part, I've got to admit he does a hell of a show. I'm not the hugest fan of his music. Again, my wife likes him, but I'm like, okay, well, if I hear a song, I'm not going to change this channel or something, you know. But he goes like nonstop for 3 hours. And we were right at the angle from the stage, like maybe 20 feet away. And we got the 2 tickets we got, I think were less than $150 for both of them.
Damn.
You know, and like I said, came on stage, he didn't stop. It went from 8 to 11. And he never stopped. He lets his band take a rest and he comes out and does acoustics. Then the rest of the band comes out and they do more of the show. I mean, that's all there is, and he goes for 3 hours. And $150 for 2 tickets, and like I said, we were like dead center. You could see everything great. He was right there. $150 isn't bad. You know, I mean, I guess with Paul McCartney and people like that, it goes with what, I always said I wanted to go see John Fogerty too. He comes to Prince George every once in a while. And it was my wife's aunt, and she was looking, and she's like, you know, next time he's coming to town, you better come and see him. I was like, well, we'll see about it. She's like, no, you got to realize the last time he came to town might actually be the last time he comes to town.
Yeah, well,
old, you know.
I talked about buying the cheap tickets just because it was Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And my husband says, and the tickets went on sale a couple of months ago for a May 2019 show. Mark's going, hey, you know he's going to be alive then.
Yeah, that's always a good question. You know,
they're getting old.
Tell him you know how to look for ghosts, sir.
Yeah.
The good ones are getting old.
Yeah, but Huff Paranormal's out of business now, so they can't get him the day after.
Yeah, that's, well, he'd still do it. He could get him. He just got to make sure his timing's right. You know, we actually watched a video. It actually debunked him doing that. Actually, we're going to be talking to that group here not too long, in a couple of weeks maybe. They did a group called DNA Paranormal from England did a video on him, and she did it contacting Stan Lee with a spirit box right after he passed away.
Oh my
and
God!
She showed how she did it, and all it simply was, it's, you know, a spirit box is using the radio signals. She's like, I did it at the 12 o'clock. I started this at the 12 o'clock news update. Like, because I could about guarantee at some point one of the news articles was going to talk about Stan Lee. And sure enough, one of the first things she does, is there anyone here that would like to speak to us? I'm trying to reach someone. And it's that Stan Lee. That's how he does it.
Mm.
You know,
Wow.
she breaks it down a lot better than, I've cut her, I think it was about a 10-minute video, and I've cut it down into like 25 seconds, you know, but she goes into details and like finding not algorithm, but like setting your timing and this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, it's very easily faked, and this is how he did it. And she calls him right out by name. Which I was like, yes, and I shared the hell out of that video.
That is crazy.
Because we have been known to call bullshit on people.
We call bullshit on him. We call bullshit on
Yeah.
ourselves.
Well,
We call bullshit on everybody.
Well, we put something out on
Wait, what do we think? We'll go stab back.
Well, that's how you got to do it sometimes. Sometimes you got to call bullshit out.
we put out something on YouTube, and then later on, after more research, we found out that we were wrong. So we came back out on YouTube and put on media that we, in fact, were wrong.
Yeah. Hell, we don't know everything.
And we admitted we don't know everything, and we just said we're sorry, we were wrong.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we did. Hey, we were wrong about that. Sorry, you know. That's like I said, we'll call bullshit on ourselves. We'll call bullshit on everybody. I call bullshit on Zach and them on a regular basis. I call, you know, Steve Huff. There's a new team on YouTube that actually Paul pointed out to us that they're going to get it here soon. Yep, they're going to get it here pretty soon. We've just seem to be doing marathons here lately, and we've had like the past 3 shows go almost 2 hours. And so we weren't going to get off on, because once I get going on a rant, sometimes it's hard to stop me. Once this train gets rolling, it takes miles to break. So,
I was just at the GameStop, and I heard something paranormal, and I was like, what is this? Is this a video game about the paranormal? I was like, this might be interesting. I walk over to the TV screen, and I stand there for a second, and I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm pretty sure I said it out loud, and everybody heard me.
Yeah.
I watched it for about 10 seconds, and I automatically knew I did not like these fuckers.
Yep. Okay, and now you pissed me off, so let's see how we're going to... And yeah, it's like, that's exactly it. Well, guys, we actually, speaking of marathon, once I get talking, also, I'm hard to shut up, period.
Yeah,
Doesn't even have to be ranting. Once I get going, I can go all night, literally. But it has been a while, so just wanted to throw out, first off, is there anything else you guys wanted to add in or talk about, or anything you wanted to bring up?
No, I can't think of anything. I think we've hit all the high spots.
Well, we covered donuts, firemen, Paul's nipples, dogs,
haunted places,
haunted places,
Oh yeah, we threw some paranormal in there every now and then.
Yeah.
Angie had to step out of the room. I wish she was in here to tell her story about the elves case she had that one time. That's a really cool one.
We'll have to save that for the drunken one.
Yeah. Hold on, here she is. You got to tell your story about the elves before he goes.
Oh, about the elves?
Yeah, they're about to get up. Because I think that's a cool story. You should tell that.
It is a cool story. It's a weird story. So there was a little man. Actually, it's in Rock Hill area, Carolyn. So he's kind of cute. He was an older man, and when he contacted us a few years ago, he said that there were little elves that were living in his feet. I thought this sounded like the craziest thing I'd ever heard. But it had gotten so bad for him that he had actually bought a security system for his house that recorded him sleeping at night. So we went out to do the investigation, and he was telling us, he took his shoes off, and it's kind of gross, but he was showing us his feet, and his toenails really did look like they had been gnawed on. And we got down and took the K2, and he was telling us, he said, the elves are in my toes right now. Well, if we put the K2 meter near his toes, we were actually getting EMF off of his toes. But if you would put the K2 around to his heel of his foot, you didn't get any EMF readings. So then he would say, oh, they're running to the back of my feet. So if you would do the opposite, if you would put the K2 back at his toes, you no longer got EMF there. But if you went to his heels where he said they were, sure enough, you would pick up EMF. So it was the darkest thing I'd ever seen. I mean, I have absolutely zero explanation for it. The only things we could think of, he was a World War II veteran, so he was older. I was asking him if he had a pacemaker, if he had been shot during the war, maybe had some shrapnel. I mean, I was trying to think of any possible explanation and never could come up with one. But it was definitely one of the most interesting cases I've ever been on.
Yeah, that interesting.
Do you know if he was a diabetic? Do you know?
I don't know.
Diabetic neuropathy. The diabetic nerve pain.
But how would the K2 pick up on that?
Well, the body generates an electromagnetic field. If he was having diabetic neuropathy, the shooting pains, it shoots down the nerves, kind of like neuralgia, sort of. But because the blood flow's lessened, but the nerves it's nerve pain, a lot of it. And
the nerves could be thrown off an impulse.
The nerves could be, because if you touch a sensor that measures the body electric, like we like the ones you said that you had an antenna that you touch, the light would come on. Well, that's basically measuring the static electricity in your body. But the body makes electricity because of your brain and your heart, your muscles, all that's electric. So that's the only medical explanation I could think of that might come close to that. But how, as far as he could feel it moving and say that's what it was, I don't know.
Yeah, because normally with diabetic neuropathy, he would have lost. As far as I know, with diabetic neuropathy, he would have lost feeling in his toes, but it wouldn't have moved. It would have been in his toes, and that would have been it.
Moved. That's all I can think of.
Just a phantom.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think
phantom
of.
feeling.
Yeah, that's all I can think of. But
or he could have elves in his toes.
Oh, you know, in World War II,
they. So strange.
You know, in World War II, they used to do the Gremlins
and the Foo Fighters.
Yeah, they used to talk about that stuff. You were talking about World War II.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. You know, honestly, like I said, I'm sitting here. My mom was an RN. I know Michael has worked in the medical field for years, and anything I can think of would be centered to one thing. It would not move.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't float around. It wouldn't be, oh, now it's in my heel. Oh, now it's back to my toes.
Right.
Nope, back down to my heel.
And the weird thing, like I say, is, you know, the EMF would follow exactly where he said he was feeling whatever.
Tell him about the sleeping stuff.
And, you know, I said, you know, he had gotten the home security cameras to video himself sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And the positions in his sleep, I mean, he was so contorted, it was crazy.
Oh, wow.
I mean, this is an elderly man. I mean, like, he would have one leg completely straight up in the air, and his head would be bent under his chest. I mean, it was really odd.
That's strange.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of that. I have no logical explanation for that at all.
Neither did I.
Yeah, that definitely sounds...
That's the kind of stuff that makes my ass itch.
I told you y'all like these guys.
Just don't sniff it when you scratch it.
Don't scratch it if I can't figure it out. It's more metaphorical than it is actual. I mean, I don't mean like Aristotle or something, but
he does it from the oh God, what was it? Abraham from The Walking Dead. Like, I hate loose ends. Loose ends make my ass itch. And ever since then, that's been our motto. Loose ends make our ass itch.
I'll be using that at work. Don't worry.
I'm still just going to use what the fuck at work.
Our other word is fuckery. We have fuckery afoot.
Oh, I say fuckery a lot.
You do say
I say bullfuckery. I'm not putting up with this bullfuckery.
Yeah, ours is, crap, there's fuckery afoot. and one from Mark.
My friend Mark.
Because the way he did it, and then I ended up doing it, and it's becoming sort of a trend around me when something like flusters me, or I'm like, Jesus in a G-string.
Mark,
the first time I did that one, I got some crazy looks.
Oh yeah, that South Carolina is not the place to use that one.
I bet not.
And I've recorded what he says, some of the stuff. And it's going to be part of a podcast, actually.
Yeah, if you two ever record
one of the things he said, we got to get to it, but one of the things he said was Jesus in a G-string. I mean, there's been hundreds of them. I've written them down. One of them was, these off the poop deck, Grandma.
Yeah, I can't wait for that podcast to come out. I'm definitely listening.
Well, we figured out it actually comes from a place called Utter Hill, Tennessee. which is a fictional place, and some of the characters who are people that Mark has actually mentioned. There's Beauregard and Buford and Bessie and Beulah and Grandma and Uncle Earl and the butler and Doc
and a moose, isn't it? Yeah, and the moose always is wearing underwear.
The moose wears women's underwear.
Oh my.
Now he says these things dead asleep. He ain't awake for none of this.
And very matter of fact, my favorite one he still to this date, my favorite one was Myra, get your feet out of that hobo. That's where the cheese goes.
Oh my God.
Now imagine we're sitting there, we're working because we work on the network all the time, or the podcast. We're either trying to book somebody or working out scheduling or something like that, and we're sitting there, and Mark works at horrible hours in the morning, so he ends up coming in. He's trying to make some form of a life after he gets off, and he ends up falling asleep. He's taking a nap in his chair, and all of a sudden, we're talking like, okay, well, we could book this person for this date, and we've got this date open if you want to move this to this. And Myra, get your feet out of that hobo. That's where the cheese goes.
Wow.
And it's just like, okay. You just got to kind of stop for a second. Everything else has to stop, and you got to reset. And like, okay, I just heard that. Now, let's get back to booking this.
Yeah, it's hilarious. When we get that out, you're going to laugh your ass off. It's fun.
Or what was the one about? Was it pudding in his pants? He didn't know how. Or there's a duckling in my jockey. I don't know how it got there. Maybe the ghost put it there.
There was one that I thought was there a duckling in my pants.
There was a duckling in his pants.
I'm sorry. That I thought was there a duck up my ass.
Yeah, now you see why I was saying we're not normal. And the stuff that makes the air that everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe the stuff that makes the air, that ain't even half of what goes on in our heads.
We like not normal people.
Yeah, we kind of fit right in.
Yeah, you gotta not be normal to do the shit that we do.
Very true. Very true there.
I sailed a long damn time ago and sank at the dock.
Very.
All right. Well, so of course you guys do actually have your own podcast on the speaking of that podcast network, that wonderful, amazing, gigantic thing that we run. That we do actually have your own. You guys do have your own podcast on there. We got one episode out, and I know you guys are going to be trying to work out some more here coming up. Any ideas about what you got on the burner? What could be coming up for those?
Probably going to talk about the Chops in jail in one. Can't remember. We had another idea, but I can't remember on top of my head.
I think we're going to bring out a team member too to get to know more of the team members.
Not a bad idea. That's actually one of the things that I've been trying to do with this. Although I got one team member that he has no trouble coming on. He's actually been on the show before, because once he gets going, he's as bad as me and never shuts up. And then we got one team member that probably maybe I think has said 50 words in the entire year that I've known him. He's the
right.
ultra quiet guy, and then we got one guy that's shy. So it's like, okay. So hopefully your team members are more talkative. It sounds like, at least on my side, they're more talkative than mine are.
Well, your team, at least from what I've seen from the outside, is mostly dudes anyway. So we got a bunch of talkative, chatty Cathys on this team.
Shush. You're one of the chatty Cathys.
Because I can't think of any of the other guys on the team that would probably want to do the podcast. So Sean does not. He doesn't want to have. When we do presentations, he's like, no, I'll work the table. You do the presentation. Yeah. He doesn't want to have anything.
That's actually
Brandon
might. Yeah, we kind of want to have spotlight member or something like that. So everybody gets to know somebody from our team.
That's an awesome idea. So now, if anyone who is interested, of course, with the podcast, you can load that on all major podcast networks: iTunes, Podcast Addict, Stitcher Podcast, of course, Spotify, and we're going to be working on iHeartRadio as soon as the final requirements met, which is 5 episodes out. But if they want to find you in non-podcast form, where can they look? You guys have your own site, Facebook page?
We've got both.
The Facebook page, South Carolina Paranormal Research and Investigations. Just search that, pop right up. And our website is scprai.org. Or if you just search Paranormal Teams of South Carolina, we're usually like the first results you'll come across.
All right, and like you were saying, that you do your team is actually spread out over the whole state, right? Yep. It's not like in one central area. So it doesn't matter if you're in Charleston or if you're in Columbia. If somebody needs help, they can contact you, and they got somebody that can get there to them.
Correct.
All right. Well, actually, this is going to be another one of the marathon ones, I believe, because once we got going there, we just didn't want to stop. And I do hate to say it, but it's getting late for me, and I know because you guys are already 3 hours ahead of me, it's got to be getting late there. And I do want to thank you all for coming on. This has been a real trip. I love this one, and we do want to have you on again, and maybe possibly for the drunk casting. That's what we're going to call it.
Keep in mind for that one.
We're down for that one.
We will try to work that out and make sure that it's set up way in advance so everybody who wants to be part of it can be part of it. I'm not so much worried about the drunk casting side of it as I am the drunk doing side of it. I think I'm going to have to start the podcast sober just so I can make sure I'm actually broadcasting everything correctly, because God knows what I'll do once I get going.
Just let it run all night, because you might not save it.
Well, actually, I've already said that. I was like, if we really want to do this and get this out, the only way I can do it is live. Because I guarantee you, I'm going to end up saying something that if I listen back to it the next morning, I'm going to go, oh my God, this can never see the light of day. Delete. So I already know we're going to have to do it live. But hey, we've got 3 hours of live airtime a day. So
I think it's 5, isn't it?
No, that's
some of us have to start drinking a little bit before.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Everybody else maybe get a start. We'll have to make a drinking game. Like every time somebody says "fuck," take a shot. But then again, we probably all be passed out within 30 minutes.
Here's the rules. Anybody who says "fuck" or "back,"
we're drunk as hell.
We're fucking drunk.
We're drunk as hell. Anytime the word paranormal comes up,
I don't call him that. I call him a douche canoe. But
douche canoe. I call him the spray tan pretty boy. It's a Vegas spray tan pretty boy. I think the hair gel's rotted his brain if he had one. We have a long storied history of not liking him. I don't think he has a clue who in the hell I am, even though he's been on this show before. He's been on the NightStalker before, but that was when Star was hosting it. Because Fab was hosting it, God only knows what would have happened. But we have a long storied career history of me making fun of him. And like I said, we do have Twitter bouts every once in a while. We've had it so far over Bigfoot and him being insensitive.
Well, if he wants to come on the show, I'll talk to him. If he wants to come on the show, I'll be glad to talk to him.
Yeah, come on again. But again, we're getting off. Again, I wanted to thank you all for coming on. Of course, like I said, if we work out the drunk casting, I will definitely include you guys in that, because trust me, that will make it even better and even more fun. And you guys are definitely invited back on anytime. This has been
awesome. Great. Yes, yay!
It was nice to meet you all too, and I enjoyed dinner.
Yes, very much. Very much.
And so, well, you guys have a good night. Get some rest. I hope you have a good rest of your weekend. I don't know what all you got planned, if you're going to be going back to Atalaya or not, or any of that. But Atalaya is, like I said, is one of the more awesome places I've heard, especially some of the stuff that Michael has gotten from there that I've heard, that I've gone over. It is actually, or seems to be a pretty active place, and we've gotten some very interesting stuff. So I think you guys would really like it.
Definitely. It's something we want to explore more.
All right, well, you guys take care. Like I said, have a great weekend, and we'll talk again sometime.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much.